FULCRUM, a Star Wars podcast. Your way of tapping into the Force from a galaxy far, far away. Hello there.
Hello, what have we here? Here's where the fun begins.
Count me in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to FULCRUM, a Star Wars podcast, and today we conclude coverage of Andor. Forever. It's over. Season 2 concluded this past week with episodes Make It Stop, Who Else Knows, and Jedha, Kyber, Erso, all of which were written by Tom Bissell and directed by Alonso Ruiz Palacios. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up? Always a pleasure to be here, homie.
Oh, it is always a pleasure to have you. Season 2, episodes 10 through 12. It's over, like I said. How are you feeling? This thing that we waited for so long came and went in the fucking flash, flash of an eye. How are you feeling?
I wish it could have been 12 weeks, I guess. It would have been nice to extend it a little more, but I really did like the kind of movie every week that we got.
Yeah, it was nice.
And as of right now, I do want to use this, conversation to really know if I'm telling the truth or not. But as I'm feeling, I think they delivered, and I think they gave me a better season than season 1, which I didn't think was possible coming into the show. And maybe it's more of the subject matter itself that I think I like more in the story that was told. But I think if I were to go back and rewatch the show, I'd rather watch the season 1 arcs. So I am in this kind of back and forth place, but I think this is more well done. This was crafted, perfectly crafted from beginning to end, I feel like. Even though they are different jumps and we're jumping a year each time, it didn't really feel that I'm losing that much in between each jump, and that I felt fully satisfied every week. And I mean, I did run every episode back to back to back every single week. And I wonder how many people didn't do that. I wonder if people just kind of threw them on. I don't know. There's no way that I could have really gotten through these episodes and been like, oh, okay, I'll go do something now or whatever, and just not have the other two or the last one. But yeah, it was, I think as of right now, the feeling in the bones, at least, is that I think they did it. To me, is they gave me a better season.
Cool.
So,
I'm glad to hear it. The feeling in my bones is that they didn't.
Okay.
Now it's not for any particular reason. I do think that this season it suffered a couple pitfalls that I don't think the first season did. I do think the highs are they're every bit as high, if not higher. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I just do unfortunately think that, and don't get me wrong, I think they did an incredible fucking job. We're still looking at the top 2 best seasons of Star Wars television. I just do think it's difficult for 5 years to be covered in 12 weeks or 12 episodes. And I do think that while they did as good as they possibly could have with that, there are other things in the midst of it that I think could have been handled better. For example, we talked about the bury your gaze trope a few weeks back with Vel and Cinta. That felt kind of beneath them. I've got really, really mixed feelings on Bix's conclusion.
Interesting.
And I'll dive into that. I overall really appreciate it. I think that there's a satisfaction to it, and I'll have to work through it, but I don't want to jump straight into spoilers, so
Sure.
I'll have to work through that. But there's a couple things there that just upon reflection, I'm like, there's a little bit of it seems like they might not have known exactly what to do with her besides knowing that they wanted her gone by the time Rogue One happened. That wasn't the feeling in season 1. They knew what they wanted to do with Bix in season 1. So so I'll get into that. But overall, don't get me wrong. This was still, holy shit. And maybe I have a soft spot for season 1 because it was the first one. It was the, it was new and I loved it. And I'd never watched Star Wars like that before. And now with season 2, I have watched Star Wars like that before. So maybe and it's Andor. So like maybe there's something there. But yeah, don't get me wrong. These are 1, 2, 1A, 1B even. And
that's undebatable there.
Undebatable for me, man. Undebatable. I absolutely adore it.
It's like a MJ and LeBron, I feel like here, where both of them, if you go with any of the choices, you're right. I feel like you can make an argument for either. And I think that this season has more of the longevity. This is more the LeBron season. They were just on for every episode, and it looked better. I feel like they stepped up the production. All of the sets that they built here, like everything was just all the little details I loved. And then I feel like in season 1, the culminations of each arc might have been better. Like every final episode of each arc was like,
every third episode went fucking nuts.
But here, I think it was more of like consistent across the board. The tension was just always there, and just.
I think it's interesting that season 1, the arcs felt much, even though they played one after the other in universe. These are happening and then happening and then happening. They are more separate than season 2's arcs, which happens over the course of 5 years.
That's true. Yeah.
They actually, or 4 years, but they actually feel like they are consistently covering the same story, even though it is years apart across season 2, which is every bit as impressive. I'm not trying to make that as like a plus for season 1 versus a minus for season 2. I just think it gives season 1 that ability to do like the every third episode thing. That's like, whoa, this is crazy. But like the first 6 episodes, the first 9 episodes, really, we're dealing with Gorman. And then the last 3 are the fallout of it. Which is really, really fascinating. I think that that's a really compelling way to tell the story, and I think it's important to do it that way. And I think that upon a revisit, I might feel differently. But yeah, I do think it might just be that loyalty in my bones that I'm like, I watched season 1 and I fell in love with it, and now season 2, nothing could ever top the original, you know. But I think you're right about it looking better. Generally, I think that it is just an unbelievable looking season of television. One of my favorite sequences is at the beginning of the finale, the standoff between the Imperials outside and the group inside. And we get those close-ups on Cassian and Hirt and Melshi, and then I think his name was Gadiel, something like that. Just like these close-ups on their eyes that were fucking beautiful, dude. I loved it. So, to your point, yes, I do agree that it is a better looking season of television. I think it took a lot more liberties in trying to be prestige this season. And you could tell in the marketing that's what they were going for. Like they wanted it to be elevated, and I think it paid off.
They were proud. They were definitely very proud of what they had before it was out, and they knew it. And I think I would like to wonder, the other world that we could have lived in where this wasn't 4 years shoved into one season.
Yeah, where it was 5 seasons as was originally the plan.
Oh my God. Like that, I honestly, I feel like I would love it. And it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with it. It's Andor for that long. But it's like, I don't know, like telling this story for just that literal amount of time. It actually would take more than 5 years if if their plan was to do it every single year and for sure it would come back. I don't know. I wonder if it would lose steam over time or if they could actually have kept it up the whole time.
I don't know that it would have lost steam. I think that there would have been there obviously would have been bigger, more meticulous storylines with other characters, and we would have gone like every year. Like the Gorman thing would not have lasted 3 years. That wouldn't have been 3 arcs of the show. That probably would have been 1 season of the show.
True.
But regardless, I do think that telling the story in this manner made you appreciate the rapid decline of the Empire when the rebellion rose. Kind of the way it's brittle. Authority is brittle. There's cracks and leaks and it breaks, and and the way that you watch that unfold across these arcs is extraordinary. And yeah, I mean, I loved it, and that's why whenever I mean, I'm sorry, I can't do no spoilers for too long. I've got to talk about details. So it's great. But spoiler free stuff. We didn't even really do much of it, but it's over.
I
The
feel
part
like,
when
they're here at
Partagaz-
the finale episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that you've seen it by now.
Yeah,
feel
I
like,
hope
but-
so. The Partagaz scene where he's listening to the manifesto, that's the part that Nemec is reciting. Authority is brittle, it cracks and it breaks and it leaks. And he asks Legret, I assume you've heard it. And he goes, yes, bits and pieces. And he goes, it has been hard to contain. That is the brittle authority, the cracks and the leaks. It is getting out. It is going everywhere. And I think that there's something beautiful about that scene where Partagaz is almost accepting that they don't have a chance in the long run.
Yeah, the cat's
like
out of the bag.
He's standing there and he's going, I'm gonna die with it.
Yep,
Fuck it.
we failed.
Yeah.
Like that is like the actual goal of the ISB is not just to gain intelligence and know what's going on. It is to keep keep any amount of fighting down or any amount of just anything the Empire doesn't like. All right, we're gonna take care of it through the ISB. Like it's crazy how fast he was like, all right, yeah, she's fucking sick. She has a crazy disease and we have to get her. Or
And
whatever.
then
Like,
that being the
excuse-
undoing of
And
their
it's like-
investigation.
it's crazy just how fast things can just be. It's for their goal, and I love that part of the manifesto of like that it has to have like everything has to be working perfectly for the Empire, for it to keep going well. But the second that there's that one little crack or the one little split in the stone, whatever, and it keeps going, and it's like just this butterfly effect, and the fact that I wonder like if they were truly going to get rid of Partagaz at the end there, because like it felt like they both kind of knew their time was coming to an end. I don't know if they were kind of like realizing what they've done and they were just kind of like, holy shit, you know what? Like, damn. Like maybe like hearing that manifesto, like it almost felt a little genuine at the end there. Like he was kind of like, dang. Like the words were finally getting to him a little bit while he realized that everything they were doing was, it failed anyways. So it's like, I love how it's there's so much left in the air for the viewer to put together. Like there is
because I think Partagaz was always really interesting because he was always seemingly, I mean, an evil fascist. Don't get me wrong. Like he knew about the Death Star. He knew about the Operation on Gorman. He helped incite that genocide. I'm not trying to say he was a good man, but he was a dude doing his job. Like every time he was presented with an opportunity to improve the ISB, he took it, and that was his job. And like I said, that's evil. It's not good. But I do think that there's something about belief in a cause, in any cause, whether that is the ISB or it is the rebellion, that kind of ultimately resonated with him. Realizing that the rebellion is as motivated to tear down the Empire as he was to maintain it. Is kind of like, if there is a group of people as dedicated to tearing down the Empire as he is to maintaining the ISB, they're fucked.
Yep.
And I think that that's what he's realizing a little bit. He's like, there's not a chance. So was he going to be reprimanded? Probably. Was he going to be put to death? I don't necessarily believe that's what was going to happen. Otherwise, I don't think he would have killed himself. I think that he he saw the writing on the wall and decided he wanted to do away with his life the way that he wanted to.
Who was the other guy that was coming in telling him
Legret?
like, hey, Legret. I wonder if this guy, because his reaction, he knew Partagaz was going to kill himself here.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
He knew, and maybe this was like his power grab of like, well, I know Partagaz is done. They're going to need someone else to fill the seat, whatever. And then maybe
I think the ISB is done.
That's true. I guess it's kind of why. I mean, is it like?
Because I'm getting the impression from Krennic the way that he talks about the ISB is that they're a waste of resources. Like, it's like, what, we don't even need you anymore. Like, they might have needed them in the early days of the Empire when they were securing their power, you know, but like now they feel they're high and mighty, they're cocky, they've got it all under control, you know, so like they feel like
really
they
hear
do.
about them. Yeah, I guess they don't pop up, you know.
No,
ever
there's
in
not
anything.
ISB officers anymore, you know. So like, I do think this is kind of the end of his life's work almost, and I think that that's why he also decides to do away with himself at the end there. So, I adore him. One of my favorite moments during that sequence is when Partagaz looks at Legret and is like, "Who do you think it is?" It's just a person. It's just somebody, man. It's
just
nobody.
somebody.
It's, you know, I everybody's important, but it's nobody important. It's not a general. It's not a leader of the rebellion.
Nope.
It's Nemec, who died a year and a half ago, or fucking 5 years ago, actually. Son of a bitch. Yeah,
Oh my
died
God.
5 years ago, and his words are still living on, playing in the ISB headquarters now.
He's nobody, but at the same time,
He's
like
everybody.
everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like and I have friends everywhere. The line, like, there's like, rebellions are built on hope. All of these lines, like, I don't know. I've heard rebellions are built on hope. Like, I don't know. And like these, I've known the Empire big bad. I've known fascism bad. Like, Star Wars has taught me this, but never. I don't know. Never has it been so maybe human. I think maybe that's what sets Andor apart, is that these people that you see, they're doing human things. Like this is the most down to earth story versus, you know, Luke is a Jedi, and you can't, you know, we love to watch Luke do his thing, and we love to watch all the Jedi do their stuff, but you can't relate to them like you can relate to Bix and Cassian and everyone else that we know of. And like, even Partagaz, like, there's little human moments of like Partagaz like being frustrated that comms aren't going through, and he just like wiggles the switch, or like just literally little things like this that you just don't see in the movies. I feel like that, I don't know, that this is why I love that we have multiple movies in this season, is that it's like, it's movie level quality and production, but you're getting the stuff that they're kind of too afraid to go in like a movie because you just simply don't have time for it. It's like they have 4 movies to work with here versus 1, and the what each episode was 45 minutes
to 55 minutes,
maybe. So like, they actually maybe have like 3 hours to work with each week. It's like, this is like gold, I feel like, to a director or a writer for like some of the Star Wars, and man, I feel like they just knocked it out of the park. Like,
they did.
And how they kept me, like, Bix, I thought she was dead for sure. I'm like, oh, yep, she's not making out of it now. 100%. She just sealed her fate. And it's like, oh, wait, no. Now I'm flipped. And she's like, she has to make it out now.
Now she's safe, yeah.
And then, how did it never enter my mind that there might have been a child cooking up in there, you know?
Because that's one of those things you don't want to consider
like,
happen for happen for Cassian or for Bix, you know, because like, and you know, at least there's a part of him that lives on and stuff. So like, here's I'll get into why that brings me mixed feelings now. The general spirit of it, I love the idea. I love the idea that Cassian now has a child. Bix has someone who is always a connection to Cassian. Cassian has someone who will always look up to him, you know, in spirit, if not in practice. Someone who will always remember him in Bix. All of that's really nice. The moment is played really nice. The music is beautiful. Her looking off into the horizon, like a classic Star Wars ending with, you know, Beru and Owen holding Luke looking off into the horizon and stuff. Like, it makes sense. It's a great Star Wars moment. The stuff that I have kind of issue with is stuff that, like I said, I don't know that they ever really knew what they wanted for Bix beyond getting her out of the show before the end of Rogue One, or before the start of Rogue One. And I think that putting her... Now, they did a lot of great stuff with Clea that kind of makes up for this. But with Cinta being killed off, Vel being pushed aside, Mon was the other great one. Mon and Clea were like the highlights for women on the season. Bix went through hell all season and then ended up with a baby.
Kind
And
of
it's supposed
true.
to be like, that's good.
Yeah.
Yep, now everything's all right. And so, like, that's why I'm like, it's okay, like, especially if it's okay for Bix. You know, in the mind of the character, if the character is like, I'm happy, I've reclaimed the location of what was my attempted sexual assault. By the way,
Yeah.
I don't know that was the exact place I wanted her to end up. Mina Rao, it's fine. You know, I guess nothing did happen, but it could have, and that's kind of the. I just feel like if they would have been like, I'm glad she ended, like, that's why, like, I'm ultimately happy that she's happy, but I do think that could have taken the script could have taken a pass or two by maybe a woman.
I think, yeah. I think I'm completely okay with the events that happened, but I would have liked more attention on Bix and give more her own story. Like, she did have a little bit of, like, where she was struggling with
she
her
reclaims
addiction.
her agency by killing Dr. Gorst and killing the guy who tried to sexually assault her. You know, like, that's all well and good, and I really, really appreciated that. But then she's, I mean, hardcore sidelined. You know, like, hardcore sidelined.
And it makes sense now with the baby of, like, whenever that the Force healer, you know, came up and felt something, knew something with Cassian, you know, he's the messenger, he has to go do this. I feel like maybe she did have she's, oh, fuck. Like, no, you're, well, she did say maybe it's you. I don't know, or like something now. But
yeah,
like,
she said maybe you're the place he's supposed to be, and I think that's why, like, I'm incredibly mixed on it. I don't want to say that I'm down on it because I'm not. I think that there's a lot of really, really high points with Bix. Her monologue at the end of last week is maybe my favorite of the season.
True.
You know, her saying goodbye to Cassian, beautiful moment. You know, I loved it.
I'm choosing the rebellion. Yeah, it's
I'm choosing the rebellion. That, and it frames her in a heroic light. You know, I just think that it is kind of it, and that's why, like, I think that what they did with Clea was extremely important. I think Clea, A, making it out, and B, being Clea, as important as she was, makes it a little bit easier to stomach that what they ultimately do is domesticate Bix, take her out of the fight, make her a mom, and put her on the planet where she was nearly sexually assaulted, and call it good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Ferrix, though, like, that's her home, and that's where she got the torture done to her. So I feel like
for sure. And I'm not even saying Ferrix was necessarily the place to go, because I feel like Ferrix is probably under constant Imperial occupation at this point too.
The planet, I was like, I'm cool with this planet. Like, this was, I don't know, it felt like Gladiator-esque at the end. You know, this is like just the reeds, the baby, just even like, I don't know, he was just like feeling him or like kicking him around,
kicking his feet
and shit.
in it.
It's like, oh my god, like, this was. Brasso died there. It's like there is some bad history, but like, as far as the history they know, you know, this is like kind of light relatively to all the other planets.
And that's why I'm like, I also love the idea of her reclaiming the planet. I don't necessarily think it's a negative thing that they live there. I just think that it's interesting. I think it was an interesting choice.
That's true. I think they were more of focused on just the optics and just the literal look of the planet. I think is just having that shot of just it's a completely different, it's the polar opposite of Cassian's end, you know. It is the water versus land. It's the sunlight versus actually a new sun being made, right, you know, there, that's destroying them. Or it's
not to mention that they are literally wearing like the same shirt.
Oh, wait.
Like, Bix is wearing that long sleeve white shirt. Or like tannish, lightly stained shirt as she's holding the baby. It's the same one that Cassian's wearing when he holds Jyn.
And it's like, it's Bix is holding like their future in her hands, and then like Cassian is holding I don't know, like almost a stranger, but not, you know, just through this one mission did they learn about each other. But it's still like, it's I don't know, it's like, at least he's not like, I don't, like, there's, it all just works out so perfectly, like this end now. And it's, I mean, I was crying at the very end when Bix is holding her baby. Like, I love how long they sit with it too. I mean, it's probably like 30-45 seconds straight of, I don't know,
let you sit. They let you sit there. They let the music swell. They cut a few times, just kind of cut around her. I'll let you see what she's looking at. We're looking at her. Yeah, no. And Adria Arjona did an incredible job this season. Bix, I mean, through through a lot of these episodes is an incredible character, and I love her. So like I don't want to say that I was like down on Bix, because I'm not. I think that Bix was still a great character this season, and for several episodes was the highlight. I think through the first 6 she's the easy favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, it's near the end, you're right, though. She was very sidelined and kind of more to push other people's stories forward, rather
which
than
is, and I don't know that I would be as disappointed with her sidelining as much if they hadn't put such an emphasis on how we need you healthy,
Yeah. Or if maybe the viewer knew of the baby, she found out about it, and then that was why she's like, oh, well, it's changed now. Like, I can't just think for myself, I have to think for this child now. That would have been interesting, like seeing her just deal with that on her own. Maybe she did go to Vel, and that's how, like, Vel, I don't know if it was just her just being like, no, dude, you never know whenever. Yeah,
like it very well could just be her history with Cinta that's motivating her to tell him that. But the way that he's like, it's too late now, and she's like, I don't think she would agree. I'm Vel 100% knows she had a baby.
I wonder if she delivered it. I feel like there's a chance we get like a scene on that. Like I honestly don't feel like all of these other characters are done. Like they kind of set them up in a way that they want the characters to continue, and it could be for books and for comics, or I don't know, non-screen media. But I don't know. It feels like I don't know, like that there is a want to continue Bix's story and Clea's and I don't know. Like, Vel does feel a little bit sidelined, I guess, there at the end. She is just kind of, I don't know, just part of the fight. But like, she's not dead,
That's why I'm like, I do think that there's a lot of room to explore these characters further. I do think that the place to do that is books. I don't know what else they can do on screen with these characters at this timeline that would be compelling on screen. Don't get me wrong. I think that they can make something compelling, but I don't know. I feel like when it comes to Clea, she almost feels like what I do love about this show is that they introduce characters that feel so integral to the rebellion that they feel missing from the movies that came out 45 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not a negative thing. On the old movies, they obviously had no conceptualization of these characters, but that's why I think that doing on-screen stuff might be difficult, because the players who are important in the rebellion at this time are Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's...
Yeah. Damn. Yeah.
And I would love if they took a big swing. I would love if they took a big swing and tried to recast and did something new. But I just don't see that happening. And I do think that a few of these characters, having read a lot of Star Wars books, Clea is destined for novel adaptations. Just absolutely.
She's got.
I think a story exploring missions between Luthen and Wilman, 100% in the cards. No idea why Wilman loves Luthen so much, but he clearly does.
He's just a lover overall. I don't think that if you're on the good side, he loves you.
He does, and I think that there's an obvious, Luthen helped them and stuff, but there seems to be a history that Wilman has with Luthen that makes it like.
His reaction to his death was much greater than everyone else's.
It's very personal, and maybe it is just that he knows how significant of a part of the fight he was, because he does know, and he helped them. He put them up on Mina Rao. He put them he helped hide them. He helped take care of them.
He does go off on what's that one general? The kind of redhead. Maybe, yeah. The guy who doesn't really like Cassian, who always tells him, you're going to be, who grounds him and always tells him you can't be doing this for longer. But whenever Wilman kind of goes off on him, like, you don't fucking understand. Like, Luthen is you wouldn't be here right now without him. And then, we get Wilman doing it for him, and then ultimately Cassian kind of standing up for Luthen, which, oh my God, I literally stood up.
Cassian being like, it's terrible to hear him run down in a room full of people who have given a fraction of the sacrifice he did for this rebellion. So hard. And oh my God, Senator Pamelo, can't stand her. And I fucking hate the white boy in the corner. That bitch ass who I don't even know his name.
The finance guy or something? Like,
I don't know who he is.
For?
I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. But here's my thing. They're also in Rogue One, and they are two of the primary proponents of quitting.
Really? Wow. Oh yeah. I guess that's right. They're like, no, like this is not.
This rebellion is finished.
Yeah. Yeah,
what did you think it was gonna be? Did you think you were gonna be able to like work your way out of this through fucking lawmaking?
Yeah,
no,
like,
you're building a military base. You thought you weren't gonna go to war?
And then
God, you ignorant fucking idiots.
Yeah.
That's why I loved the depiction of the leftist infighting this season, which was a big theme throughout the season, but. The few that understand exactly what has to happen, and the idealists who think they can still just work their way out of it with a strongly worded letter. You know,
and there is a line I think that is towed of like that yes, sometimes some things just have to happen. But in Rogue One, like Chirrut says, you know, the Force moves darkly around someone who's about to kill. And like this is whenever Cassian is thinking of killing Galen, and he doesn't even do it. But the Force is already moving darkly around him. So it's like killing, it would, like in a perfect world, like it would be incredible if it never had to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's what makes them idealists.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like on some level though, if you're killing someone and ending someone's life, like Luthen killing Lonnie on the bench in the park.
Ooh.
That guy had a wife and kid. He never even really met that kid or had anything to do with, like, he could have had a life finally and got out and whatever. He only would have just been on, you know, the ISB would have been after him and could have been done. But like that death right there didn't need to happen. Like that, for Luthen, yes, it was necessary. We can't have the leak. We can't have it get out. Whatever, but like that was one that I'm just like, damn, like I can't agree with you there, Luthen, or like I can't go there. So there is a line in which you become just as bad as the enemy, I feel like, if you do kill in that way. Like they're obviously not killing in the way the Empire is. They're not slaughtering and taking over and creating an empire. But I feel like there is, I don't know, a principle you must uphold, like you can't allow yourself to be as bad as them at some point. So it's like...
No, and I do generally agree with that. But I don't know. I yes, optically, I don't think it would have been better for Luthen to figure out a way to help Lonnie live and make it out of this. But like you said, the ISB would have always been after him. Like he said, there's doing it fast and there's doing it good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we do it fast, they'll be on you. Then he's tortured for information that he gave to them. They don't have time to burn it down. They don't have time to escape. Like there's,
I mean, he couldn't have gone to Yavin. Like, how would they have known he got there? And then once he's there, he's with the rebellion. You know, it's the only option I feel like he does have left at this point. And Luthen doesn't even say Yavin, but I feel like when Luthen says it, he's like, that's his death. Like even him just bringing up Yavin was just kind of, I don't know. It was like he already decided to kill him. I feel like before he's even trying to give him options, he was just trying to get the Death Star information out of him, or
right.
And so
how do you feel about Cassian killing Tivik at the beginning of Rogue One?
Like it's like that guy probably would have just died anyway. Like I don't know. It's like it feels wrong. Like it feels like it didn't have to happen. It does work better for the larger fight, for the rebellion, and I get the logic behind it. I get why Cassian does it, but like. I feel like what I'm doing is like, if I am in Cassian's shoes, there's no way I can pull that trigger. I can't even kill a beetle or a fly or like any. So like, I don't know. It's like, I would just like
No,
to...
I'm with you. I don't think I'd be able to do this either, which is why I think that people like Luthen and Cassian are important in rebellions. Because Luthen kills Lonnie here because Lonnie is like, they could be on us right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They have time, but they don't know that. He has to assume the worst and hope for the best.
Hope.
You know, like
exactly, hope. Like I don't know if you're giving up. You're just like that one senator that's annoying or whatever. Like you're already rendering his case useless, and you're getting rid of him because it's easier. Like it was a pure convenience kill for Luthen. It was not a yes, it is protecting the rebellion, and it like that is the reason he's doing it, but that's not like the main. I feel like it's 50-50. It's like protecting the rebellion, but also it's like, I don't have time to deal with this right now, and I don't want to. It's far easier, and just everything's sealed up if you're dead. And I don't know. That is not in the spirit of the rebellion, I don't think. Like the perfect rebellion, and I understand the idealist. You know, you can't be 100% an idealist. We don't live in that world. But it's like the ultimate rebellion, I feel like, is not convincing people to stand up and go kill the bad guys. It is to convince the bad guys themselves that they are the bad guys, or like to turn everyone, you know, and with a consciousness sort of thing. Is
no,
the
yeah,
ideal,
and ideally, yeah, I think that is what Senator Pamlo and them want. And I'm not trying to be like it was the right thing for Luthen to do. I'm just trying to give a little.
I don't know. I feel like like we love to kill each other. I don't know. Like humans, we've just been getting better and better at it as history has gone on. But I feel like I don't know. The nuclear bomb I feel like this is a switch in history. We have never been able to end civilization so quickly and swiftly before. Like in human history, we knew we could kill a bunch of people. We could decimate villages or towns or even cities at points, but it took time, and you had to see it happen. People had to do it themselves. But now, with a push of a button, gone, like decimated. I think like we have passed a threshold of maybe fighting isn't worth it anymore. You know, like it's different than just trying to be like the war is bad, I don't know, and like stop fighting. I feel like there is a switch, or that I would like to believe that we can evolve past fight. Like I don't know, like humans, I think that is our next evolution, is just whenever we stop going off of these terrible tendencies we have. And it might take thousands and thousands of years for that to happen, I don't know, or alien intervention, whatever the fuck. But at least that's the idealist part of my brain. That is like, I would love the rebellion that is not just focused on doing as much literal damage and killing of the bad guys as possible, and I don't know, trying to limit it as much as they can, rather than just being so okay with it and saying that it has to happen. Because I don't know, the Bad Batch, you know, it's their brothers, you know, that they're stunning, you know, they stun them for, I don't, they don't kill, like, and I feel like there's just this, I don't know, I would have loved to see that kind of just someone dealing with that, but it's all just kind of like, nah, they're just these deaths had to happen. But I feel like the Lonnie case,
I don't think that there's I'm not trying to negate you in any capacity. You know, I do think that ideally, you're right. I think that, you know, there's a line that Vel says to Clea towards the end where when Clea goes, you know, it had to happen, and she's like, aren't you kind of tired of saying that? You know,
yeah,
you know, and it's the very basis of Cassian's kind of evolution in Rogue One. That Galen doesn't have to die, so he doesn't kill him. You know, I think that there's all sorts of stuff there that I think plays really, really well one after the other. I do think that I do think, again, devil's advocate, if he doesn't kill Lonnie, Clea doesn't make it off the planet.
Yeah,
I don't think the escape happens with two or three of them. I think it happens with one of them.
I guess it feels like it's just given up though, or maybe it's more of a distraction. You know, they're on Lonnie, they're not on Clea. They're like it feels
right. But if they're gonna send Lonnie away, it'd be with Clea.
This is true. This is true. Yes, it does muddy the waters a lot. Like I do understand why Luthen killed him. It's just that this is one death. I don't know. It didn't sit right with me. Like this is the one that I'm like I can't really like cope with or hear. It had to be done with that one. Like it felt like it was just rendering the case useless. Because like Clea, Cassian could have killed her. Like, I don't know. They're after her just as much as they're after Lonnie, if not more. They're after Clea way more. And Clea already gave them the information of the weapon. She gave them everything they needed. Galen Erso, Jedha, and everything. So they could have just killed her and gotten out way easier, on their own, but they didn't. No, this is Clea. This is someone who has fought for the cause for so long, and then it feels like since Lonnie was just the ISB plant, kind of guy, it's like, we can just get rid of him. But I feel like it's the same with Clea. And so I don't know.
I'll go with you. I'm gonna, and this is all speculative, of course. What are the odds Yavin has trouble believing this at all?
Mm-hmm.
Even from Clea, a primary source. There's no shot they allow an ISB agent onto Yavin.
Yeah. I mean, they at least they did say that, where like Luthen did not have a good relationship with the Alliance or with the Rebellion. Like they did not like him. And that probably
no, and I'm not trying like I agree with you, by the way. I agree that Luthen, this is one of those human decency sacrifices that he has to make for the rebellion. Like I do think that it's one of those things where he's like, I burn my decency for a future I'll never see. This is one of those things. He's like, this is not a good thing to do, but at the moment I see it as the right thing to do. He's the one with clarity of purpose, and this is what happens. Now I agree. It is not a good thing. It's certainly not. It probably wasn't the thing that had to happen. But it is what happened, and it's sad. I'll miss Lonnie. Lonnie was a good guy.
Yeah.
He did deserve better.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like. It's not that I want like. Oh, I need Lonnie's storyline to continue. Or
no. It's just it's sad. It's sad that Lonnie
of what happened and like of what Luthen did, and Luthen is still. I mean, oh my God, his background episode, like his start, seeing him and Clea just kind of forming their relationship, like their beginning was just incredible. Luthen was already my like top favorite character of the show in season 1, and this just made him absolute, like it kind of just solidified it for him. But it was surprising to me that this season I was so much against him. I was like, actually, like, yeah, he's still cool. He's still like the top dog and doing stuff for the rebellion. But like I was like, even in the earlier episodes, I'm like, people aren't going to I don't know. People seem that they're starting to hate him even more and realize they don't really need him anymore. And I think, at least I think that is just Luthen's goal, is that he knew that like he just needed to, he was the catalyst, and that is it. That once the cat is out of the bag and the rebellion, it can't be contained any longer, then he's complete. Because he does, I feel like, let out a smile at the end there. Like when he lets out his last breath, it could just be like a finally, sort of thing. But I feel like he finally kind of saw that sunrise. I don't know. Or he was like, it worked. Like I would have loved a little last moment of consciousness that he had, and he saw Clea there. I don't know. But like then...
I think it plays a little more poignantly that he doesn't. I think it in the service of Clea, and in the service of Luthen, like to your point, when you said like he might be seeing that, I think it's the point that he doesn't. He does like he doesn't open his eyes again. Like he's done. He's done, and it's for the rebellion, and that is what he sacrificed. And in this moment, he sacrificed himself, and I think it serves Clea even more too to kind of have this unceremonial. I just had to pull the plug on my dad.
Yeah.
You know, like it's and there's no goodbye. It's over. The last words she heard come out of his mouth were "move."
Oh,
you
dang.
know.
Yeah. I think we've run out of all the perfect. Oh,
Yeah,
I think
so
we used
good.
up all
So
the perfect. Like, oh my god, like that first episode of just intercutting the Clea trying to get to him in the hospital with their origin story at the same time.
Good. So
oh
good.
my god, and the him putting the detonator like on the table and being like, all right, are you in? Like you've talked your talk, but this is it. Like I don't want to be the one to do it.
I'm only afraid of what I'm doing to you.
My God, yes. The only time he's been a little human,
Yeah.
I don't know that we saw that side of him, but it's and then her reaching for it and then him being like, nah, you know what? I got you this time.
Like that was enough, kind of
hey,
like, all right,
the
all right.
test. Yeah, it was just a.
I'm not going to make you do it, but I appreciate that you would.
Hey, okay.
Now check this shit out. Also sick that we're on Naboo. I don't know how long it's been since we've been on Naboo.
Yeah. Like did they explicitly say, or I mean, it just
no,
looked
it just
like
is
it.
not.
Like,
it
has
just
to
is
be,
Naboo.
Right? That's sick. Like
there's a few cool little Easter eggs. Luthen seemingly was a mud trooper, which we saw in Solo.
Yeah. Oh, is it like no way? Is that timeline?
Probably not the same battle. Solo's 10 years after.
That's true. Yeah,
so this is probably pretty fresh off the rise of the Empire, which it still opens up all sorts of questions about Luthen's quote unquote origin. How do you end up an Imperial mud trooper? Like, I don't know. It's interesting to me.
It feels like this wasn't his first mission. Like this.
No, he was a sergeant. He was in charge.
Wow. Yeah.
That's why I'm like, it's a strange circumstance that led him here, and I'd like to explore that more. So I'm sure, again, novel wise, I'm sure that's something that will be explored. But we got that. One of my favorite details as a High Republic fan is that the hospital that he's in is called the Lina So Medical Center. Lina So was the chancellor of the Republic during the High Republic. So it's just cool to see that there's at least something that still stands for her, which is cool.
Yeah, a hospital. I'm down. I'm down with that. I don't even know.
I'm down with that too.
I don't even know them, but I feel like they'd be okay with that.
Lena would have been a Mon Mothma type, I think. She's sick as fuck. Loved Lena So.
Yeah, this I don't know. I feel like it tied no quite epilogue, I guess, sort of. I don't know, a little bit.
Yeah,
but
not really an epilogue, but I don't think that we need an epilogue given the way the show ends. I think what's kind of beautiful about it is that we do have so much certainty with Cassian's ending. Everyone else, they're going blind into the fight, man. It's time for war, like they don't realize it yet, but this is the calm before the storm. This is when everything pops off, all of them sitting there, Vel being there with Mon, and Will sitting there with his lady from Gorman, and all of these little cutaways. Their fate isn't sealed, and I love that for not getting an epilogue. Like they have a future, and that future is going to be war in the interim, and they could die, yes. But it'll be in the service of what this is right now. It'll be for these moments. That's why they could die. And I think that's beautiful.
Oh, I didn't. This was one little detail that I thought was just a little forced, and I had to get it right in my brain. Something was wrong. Whenever Vel picked up Melchi's gun, I'm like, that was a little forced just to pick out Melchi. But that gun is what Vel gave to Cassian on fucking Aldhani. That's whenever he was first there, that was his or her gun that he that she gave to Cassian, and then Cassian gives it back.
Cassian gives it to Melshi when they're back on Niamos.
Like, oh my! And then Melshi just leaving it on that table, and Vel's like, "How the fuck did this go?" Like that's what was running through Vel's head. She was looking at the table of guns, or whatever. She's like, "Wait a minute, what the
God?"
fuck?
And I want an entire. I don't know what I want. I want the in between periods just on Yavin, dude. Them fucking kicking it on Yavin is so cool. Them getting drunk, playing cards. Him and Vel talking, and her being like, him being like, I've heard people say they were there about Aldani. And her being like, yeah, I'd kill anybody who said that. And he's like, I'd believe you would. Yeah. I love that shit. And like the toast they had right before, I guess we can't toast them all, but they go ahead and do it anyway. It's beautiful, just the pull throughs of, Gorn, Nemec, Terramin, Cinta. And like the way that's like almost too hard for her to say. And like, it's lovely, man. Your mother
didn't say Brasso. What the hell? How does Cassian not pull? Like, what? How does his name not be mentioned there? Bro just died. I don't know. That was the one I was waiting for his name. I was waiting the whole time. I'm like, finally, sometime he'll come back in the show. He'll be mentioned again.
I think it's people who had a significant impact on both of them.
Okay, that's true, and more of a. Yeah.
Ferrix. I think Brasso's kind of embodied with Ferrix there.
Yeah, I guess. But that was literally the only gripe I had there with the toast felt really good. I was just kind of waiting for Cassian to, Brasso. But to Vel, it wouldn't have been,
She'd be like, who?
Like, yeah,
I know she wouldn't. Yeah. She wouldn't. She'd respect him in the moment, but I mean, like, it'd be like,
okay. She's like, all right, well, fair enough.
She's like, shit, we're doing this. Okay, this person.
That's fair. So but man, no, it was and she definitely knows something. I don't know. Her being like, nah, you need to go back and like check her out.
Maybe you should reconnect with Bix. And he's like, I don't know, it's too late. And she's like, I think she'd disagree.
You might want to do it.
And she's like, all right. He's like, all right, when all this settles down, then maybe. And she's like, well, just don't wait too long.
Fuck. Yeah, when all that settles down.
Yeah, nah, man, that fucked me up bad. That fucked me up bad. And then she walks out and finds Clea. It's lovely again, Like I love her taking care of I love them taking care of each other. Kind of a solace that they. Kind of a now they can rest. I know that they can't. Like the war's still going and stuff, but.
This is rest for them, though. Yeah. I don't know. This is an easier fight. Back then, it was just them. They didn't have everyone else. But now, I don't know, putting the coat around her and getting her inside, getting her. Like, I feel like she's part of the community now. It's like that they
I have friends everywhere.
Yeah, they were beautiful. There, but now it's actually I don't know. Everyone's together instead of apart. Which it
rules. It rules, man.
This I don't know. Clea, no sister to Cassian. I was still kind of holding out, but man, how beautiful!
Oh, dude, it's. I'm really, and I want to make it clear. I know I speculated a lot. I'm like super duper okay with the fact Clea's not Cassian's sister. That was not something that I was like, oh, it's got to be the case. No, it's fine that it's not. In fact, I now that they've done it this way, I prefer it this way. It's just another tragedy. I almost feel like. What we're getting at the end here, with that being the last kind of dream we see him have, is he's going to see her again.
That she didn't make it out.
She didn't make it, and now he's actually going to find his sister. In fact, something beautiful about this that I'd never considered until this is that the reason he's here is because he looked for his sister.
Yeah. That's true.
He's
6 years old.
I talked for weeks about how there's got to be a reason we started with looking for his sister, and the reason is that is the inciting event that makes him sacrifice his life in Rogue One.
My God, it's the perfect example of like the little battles. They matter just as much as the big rebellion. Like if Bix didn't have this hatred and out for Gorst. Like Gorst would have eventually become much more. Like they were planning on expanding him, but no, dead and gone. And that could have been a Luthen mission. I don't know, but like it feels that would have been done sooner if Bix kind of could have had her way. And Cassian, I don't know. It's the ultimate kind of, he doesn't realize his goal, or like he doesn't find, well, he kind of does maybe at the end, he meets her in the afterlife, but
yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at it like, they join each other again in the Force, I love, but like if he doesn't go looking for his sister, he doesn't kill those two corpos. If he doesn't kill those two corpos, Cyril doesn't come looking for him. If he doesn't do that, he doesn't have to go on the run. Luthen doesn't find him. He doesn't join Luthen. It's just a cascade of events that happens because he searched for his sister, and I think that's cool.
Man, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Luthen and Clea were real. I don't know. Like it is Andor, it is Cassian's show, and yes, he is like, I don't know. It is about him and like him being the messenger, and all these things are kind of flowing through him. But like I just couldn't get enough of Luthen and Clea's storyline. Like it was,
they're the best.
It was just the console. I don't know what to call it. Their little communication thing, whatever that is, and I didn't really realize before if the Empire got their hands on that, then they know where every little rebel cell is, or at least the one that Luthen has contacts with, which is like it didn't really sit with me of how dangerous it was if they were revealed. I thought that they just didn't want to get revealed because they want to stay in the fight, obviously, and being outed to the Empire is not good for them. But like that building, I don't know, was just so cool. Him being like, yeah, no, only 2 artifacts in here actually in question, or whatever, and like, yeah, what this bleeder? I wonder.
God, when she pulled out the Star Path unit too, I was like, fuck. It was like, God damn it.
I thought she actually was ignorant to it still at some point. I'm like, does she know? I'm like, is this a play that
I did until she did the Star Path unit?
And then it's like,
and then you're like, oh,
you're like,
nope, too much to hope for.
Even Cassian asks Clea, like, are you sure Luthen is dead? And like, yeah, I mean, bro, like she pulled the plug, he went out. I don't know, but like, it's kind of like a falling in a pit, Palpatine, whatever. Like I could see some, Star Wars medical reason for being able to, I don't know. Is there a possibility he's not actually? I would rather him stay dead. But
I don't think that that's a possibility. And the reason I don't think it's a possibility is because even though it's not confirmed to Clea, it is confirmed to Dedra and Krennic and them. There's a moment whenever he leaves the interrogation room and then walks on the other side of the glass, and I think it's Hirt says something to him, and he's like, God damn it. Like, and that's when Luthen was dead.
Okay. Yeah, they do run back in in the room. That's true. I guess it was more that Cassian and like they didn't quite know for sure.
Yeah.
But
and that's just kind of like that kind of makes the sacrifice even greater, I think. Like, are you sure he's dead? It's like, I have to be.
Yeah, he had. He's like in a weird way. Like I kind of hope he.
I hope he is. Like there's
they bring.
Well,
and
that's
back.
the thing is that Clea is saying it like, I did what I had to do. I hope he's dead. Cassian's asking because if there's a chance, he might go back for that motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, because Luthen would be the one not to talk. I don't know, but like they like Gorst is dead, so like they don't have him, but like they still have that tech, right? Or like is that what they would have just strapped him up to, or like they would have like I wonder.
Bullet.
Because I feel like Luthen, I don't know. I would have like what was their plan for him if he did wake up, just to try to get it out of him,
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, they would have tortured him until he gave it up, until he gave something up, and it wouldn't have worked, but they had to be sure. I think that's kind of the point. Is that
this, I don't know, this bleeder, this weird artifact. I don't know. He throws in this weird ancient dagger that he stabs himself in the heart with. I don't know.
Stomach,
It's the Star Wars. Oh, it wasn't his heart. He just.
He would have died instantly if it was his heart.
Yeah, so like why didn't like that's what I'm saying is like,
I was curious about that too. Why not like do something that's a little bit more sure?
I mean at least if I'm killing myself with a dagger, I'm going for the heart. I don't know. It's just at least my gut that just seems like that's a way to go. That would suck, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like he knew they would take his body out, and this is he's giving Clea the last moment. Like it's like that's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me, is that they know he's crucial. They'll take him out on a stretcher, and they'll know, he'll know someone will come after him. It has to be her, and that she'll be able to be the one to pull the plug. I don't know. Like it felt a little that he knew he wasn't going to fully die there a little bit. So
yeah, maybe I took the literal action of like where he stabs himself and stuff. I think that there's a little bit of a seppuku sort of thing going on too. I think that he does the I wish he would have like slashed or something instead of just stabbing himself. But I do think that it was also not particularly sharp, which is worse, I feel like.
It didn't look like the best thing to do yourself in with.
That's why I'm like I think he might have just picked the softest part and hoped for the best.
Yeah, it's like,
because he also did it in a way that was like secretive. Yeah. He didn't want to make it obvious, like, oh, I'm trying to kill myself. And I think if you go for the heart, you got a bit of protection there. Like, you got to.
That's true. You got to
work for it.
You got to. You got to. I don't know. That's fair. I don't
That's
know.
Why I'm like, I think he again, hope for the best, which is just dying.
Now, his blood being on this dagger, is there anything, like, I don't know, does that carry any weight? Is there a way? Like, why bring attention to this weird? I don't know. He was just doing his whole arc here, like his museum.
I think bringing the attention to the dagger in the first place is the foreshadowing of him killing himself with it. I don't think it's because the dagger has greater significance.
Because I don't know. He's got a lot of artifacts in there, and I'd say some of them, like, they're not just for show. You know, like there's probably some shit in the Star Wars universe that does some cool shit, and that's what I was wondering, if he knew he kills himself with this dagger, then like his consciousness
his essence
is already gone. Like, I don't know. Like, if he's I don't know. I don't
think so.
I don't know where it could go,
they make it. They call it a Nautolan dagger, and the Nautolans are a species we are aware of, and they aren't inherently mystical.
The Nautolan. Interesting. Yeah.
The most notable Nautolan is Kit Fisto.
Okay.
So the aquatic.
Yeah.
Squid people.
Okay. Fair enough. That's just a cool connect. I think that's just kind of what all those artifacts and stuff were for. Is like, hey, look what we can like.
Yeah, look at this shit.
There was just like, even they had a real life Earth artifact in there though, like the Roman like dodecahedron things, the weird like geometric things with the spheres on every corner or whatever. And I love that, like, we don't even know what those things are either. Like, we found them all over Europe, and like they were used. They had a shit ton of them, but we have no clue the purpose of those things. And
it might as well be a Star Wars artifact, baby.
It's like, fuck it, like, because I love it. That's my headcanon, is that they somehow got to Earth and like they found just a bunch of these things, and he just had a big ass one. I mean, bro had a one on deck, but yeah, seeing like the Twi'lek. The name of them,
Calicari, like, or whatever.
Yeah, like, I don't know, that's why I loved Luth. Like, Luthen just kind of has to be my character, I think, for the whole show, is that his ship was so badass, you know, super small, but somehow could jump into hyperspace. Had like the tractor beam destroyer thing, or all the pellets, and his outfit.
God, watching them kind of like carve it up was just so, man, it just broke your heart a little bit to watch them pick, like, almost felt like they were picking at his dead body. You know, I know they weren't, but that's like that's what it made me feel like. And man. But Clea holding it down was so fucking cool. Her infiltrating a hospital, then being like, it had to have been a team of 3 people.
Yep. Nope.
Just Clea. Just Clea.
Yep.
Doing some badass shit. I absolutely adore it. I think that's what's cool about this last arc, is it's relatively, and I emphasize relatively, uneventful. Obviously there's Luthen dies, Clea blows up parts of a hospital and puts him down. That's in episode 10 though. Then they have to go save Clea, then they got to go to Yavin. And that's kind of all. And I think that that's kind of awesome. I think that that's what's the way they created tension, did so much character work. And what I love about this is that the finale is Rogue One. You know, like the big flourish, the big finish is Rogue One. So you can't have some massive fucking thing happen here.
Yep.
You know, like, and I think that that's what's really beautiful about the show, is that I think it just really understood what it was. It had such a firm sense of identity, and it stuck to it all the way through. It never sacrificed its integrity. You know, it never felt like it was, you know, like there was an article recently with Tony Gilroy where he talked about how Keno Loy didn't come back, and he was like, yeah, you know, we tried to figure out a way to make that work, and it simply didn't. There was no way to do it that didn't sacrifice the can't swim line. You know, like that moment's too powerful for me to undermine it by bringing him back. So like that's just having storytelling integrity, being like, can't do it, won't do it. You know, like it's strong. It makes shows better whenever you have a backbone and you decide you don't want something to be sacrificed. You don't want to undermine anything. You want to emphasize everything as much as you can. And I think that was the strength of the show. I do think that they had this season just one or maybe two, and I emphasize maybe two moments where I felt like they were beneath them a little bit. But ultimately, the pros massively outweigh the cons.
I think K2SO kind of had a meta line a little bit that I think the writer's room was putting in, where they finally have a flight plan. He's like, it's so much easier when you know where you're going. And it's like, because they know they're leading into Rogue One. So like they kind of like, it probably was much easier to write backwards from Rogue One a little bit. You kind of know where everyone will end up, whatever. And then you have to figure out how to get there, like how to get there.
So much easier when you know where you're going. Well, and that's what makes prequels the best, is when tragedy is at its best when you know what the ending is. You know, that's why like watching Cassian barrel towards his sacrifice, that slow motion strut he's got going at the end. He's strong, and it's the one of the phrases that I loved when it came to Andor as a whole, as a show, and specifically as it applies to Cassian, is the pessimism of the intellect and the optimism of the will. The realist in you goes, we are outgunned, outmanned. They have a super weapon on the horizon.
Yep.
And the optimism is, we're going to fucking take it down.
Yeah.
You know, fuck it. I don't know how, but we're going to do it. The optimism of the will. You know, I love it. I love that he is a perfect embodiment of it. Luthen was almost entirely pessimism of the intellect with, you know, a little bit of that optimism of the will. I mean, that's what he had to do. He had to do what he had to do. And the other side of that, a lot of people are too much optimism of the will and not pessimism, and don't have the pessimism of the intellect. They don't think hard enough about how impossible their task is, you know? There has to be a healthy dose of both for you to succeed in this fight. And I think that's what Cassian has in spades.
Yeah, it's we know he's going to die, and usually it'd be like, oh man, like it's sad that like we know his fate and he doesn't. It's like, you know, he doesn't even know what he's going towards, but like he does. Like this is what he signed up for. Is like he doesn't want to die. He still doesn't know that he's about to die. But like he knows at any given moment that like if that's what happens, it's what has to happen for the rebellion. Or like I feel like he's made up his mind with that it's like it's part of the life. It is just that you obviously want to keep going as long as you can, but it's like when that moment does arise, hopefully it is it's, I don't know, you're still doing something for the rebellion, and no matter how small it is, it still matters. But you just hope that it's something grand and for a greater purpose. And Cassian, yeah, I mean, bro was the messenger, and I love that he even calls Jen the messenger in Rogue One as well. Like it's all of the through lines that I didn't even. Parts of Rogue One that I didn't even pick up on at all, or like didn't even
it's
care
stuff
about,
like they made completely. I loved kind of like, obviously you know where Rogue One ends, obviously, but there's so many little things along the way. In fact, Andor simultaneously makes Rogue One better and worse. Because Rogue One's not anywhere near as good as Andor. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's and that's what's funny. Like, it did elevate it like crazy. Like, I when I rewatched it, the moment at the beginning when he does have that meeting with Tivik and he's like, Erso. He's like, Erso? Galen Erso? Like, holy shit, you're confirming everything I just said? You know, I just learned. I'm getting a secondary source for this shit right now. You know, like, it's so good. I love that whole sequence. But reimagining Rogue One as a season of Andor would be fucking insane.
Ooh.
Like that would be insane. You know, like that would be an unbelievable season of television. So like, you know, we have what we have. I'm not trying to be like, let's make it happen. Season 3 adaptation of Rogue One. No, fuck that. But it was wild tonally. Not even realizing how much lighter Rogue One is than Andor, which is insane to say. You know, like, because Rogue One, all the main characters die in it. There's not a like that's crazy. But the degree of lightheartedness that it handles itself with is so it's jarring compared to Andor. You know what I'm saying? Like you immediately feel something tonally different whenever we get to Yavin and stuff. And I think that I mean recontextualizing Diego Luna's performance in Rogue One is the primary you'll see Rogue One in a whole new light. That's really the only reason I see Rogue One in a whole new light. And the fact that Cassian has a kid out there somewhere. That's really it. And that's a lot. Don't get me wrong. That's plenty. But it didn't actually change that much about anything else. I think that what it does emphasize the threat of the rebellion to the Empire. You know, like this is something that they actually do need to worry about. And we know that from Andor. Rogue One is just kind of understood. Yeah, the rebellion. They're facing the Empire.
Yeah. I guess
first time you watch Rogue One... go ahead, sorry.
I guess for like it did highlight Cassian a whole lot more, but like I didn't think of the little fight or everyone has their own rebellion before Andor at all. So like whenever I saw Rogue One first, I maybe that's why I thought it was so much heavier or something before, is because that was the best example of like the littlest fight that matters. At the end, but then getting Andor, seeing the even smaller fights that people are doing, and how even like the small or littlest event still has the same effect. Like I think that mind switch changed Rogue One a bit for me. Like seeing a random soldier stand up and fire a couple shots so that Bodhi, is that his name? Maybe the Imperial pilot can get in, or whatever.
Thank you for emphasizing that in Rogue One. Whenever he's running towards the ship, that guy sees him and he goes, "I'm done. Yeah, I'm gonna draw his fire." Yeah. That's fucking awesome.
And it's
a brilliant moment.
I don't think I would have seen that before, or like I didn't see it before. I didn't pay attention to it, but now I see that and I'm like, that one guy, like his story, him getting
he had
all
a whole
the way
life
to this moment. Yeah, I feel like that's what enhanced the movie for me. But you're right, it's like the production value going from Andor to Rogue One, like it's still great. Like I don't know.
Oh no, and that's
good.
I'm like Rogue One. If there's nothing negative I can say about the way Rogue One looks. There's nothing negative I can say about the way that like production design. What like somehow Yavin's bigger in Andor, which is crazy. I don't know how Yavin's bigger in Andor. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, like as far like you said, production value wise, like how on this TV show's budget are we making Yavin more expansive than Rogue One did?
What the heck? Yeah, that's I don't know.
Rogue One still suffers a few key pitfalls for me, which is especially after Andor, man, do we breeze through that thing.
Yeah.
Like, we are halfway through the movie, we are going to Scarif.
Yeah, it kind of was, because I watched it in multiple stages, I guess. I watched the 3 episodes of Andor right after my finals were done, and then once I finally finished Andor, all of the tiredness kind of hit me at once, and I'm like, all right, I'll start Rogue One. I only got, like, I think 5-10 minutes through, and then I woke up at a solid 2 in the morning or some random time, watched a little bit more, fell back asleep, and then finally got the very end of the movie in the morning. But yeah, whenever I realized, I was just scrolling through the movie in the morning here to just fast forward to the part that I got to, and I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, halfway through, I'm like, they're already fucking going. I'm like, what's going on? Like this, it's crazy how fast that it does go through.
How fast of a movie it is. And it obviously has the giant asterisk of digital necromancy with Peter Cushing, which is always going to be brutal. But
watching that scene, they had the perfect opportunity to just leave him looking out at the Death Star the whole time, not even turn around, don't even look at the camera, and just have the reflection. The only time you see his face that's it. I think that would have been like a perfect way to honor. And like Tarkin, he doesn't even care of Krennic, you know. He's like, he's only looking at the Death Star.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
Like, I don't know.
Or even recast him. Fuck's sake. I don't know. Like,
yeah, a real human. I don't know. Like,
there is a real human there. That's what's crazy. They're just like, go ahead and put a bunch of dots on his face and figure it out. But yeah, regardless, all that to say, Andor simultaneously made Rogue One unbelievably better, because in spite of that pace, having that history really makes it worth it. Like, you know what we're building towards, and you know how we got there. It's just that pace doesn't hurt as much whenever you have a whole history.
Yeah, it felt very good at the end.
Oh yeah, it did, and it recontextualizes, like I said, Diego Luna's performance like crazy. The idea that the first time I watched Rogue One, I view him as kind of a hardened rebel spy.
Yeah,
you know, who Jyn reminds what's important, and that's clearly not the case on the other side of Andor. On the other side of Andor, he does what he thinks is right at all turns. Every turn, he's doing what he thinks is right. The behavior they exhibit in going rogue at the end of this movie is not new.
Yeah.
This is something he does. You know, like I love that that's something that they make clear in Andor, is that this is what this is what we do, you know?
Yeah. His line of, I've been doing this, you know, since I was 6 years old. Some people live this, you know, be lucky that you haven't had to live this yourself, whatever. Like that line of him saying, like,
some of us don't have the privilege of choosing when and where we fight.
Damn. And that was like, fuck. I'm like, I don't know. It's like, I always take a step back, you know, because it's a little too real right now to look at things. And I also had a moment of like, you know, if you put the Palpatine archetype, we know that's representing Trump pretty much 100%. Or the Krennic type person, I feel like, is like Elon. And I really hope that this Starlink and just sending massive amounts of satellites into space that can possibly be for another reason, I hope that's not the case. And I hope that's not an energy project that is, you know, or whatever, the on the blanket thing, sort of thing like that. So it's like, yeah, when I had this kind of moment of watching of like the real world. Hopefully we're not barreling towards this, but that's the only kind of reason that I don't like the show, is that it's like, damn,
it feels a little real like, sometimes.
Like, you know, maybe I don't know. Star Wars used to be like, you know, flashy lightsabers, TIE fighters, pew pew pew, you know, and I don't know. I didn't think of anything else.
Well, that's what's cool about Tony. Like Tony Gilroy said in an interview recently, he was like, it's narcissistic to think you live in some unique time. You know, like this was not inspired by events happening today. Yeah. But it certainly reflects events that are happening today. You know what I'm saying? Like that's these are stories that repeat themselves. History repeats itself. It's the way fascism works. And I love the way they depict fascism eating away at the people who helped build it. Partagaz ultimately committing suicide. Deidre ending up in prison, Cyril getting domed, Hjert getting used as a shield.
Yeah.
Fucking incredible.
K2SO. Oh my god. Yeah, bro.
Finally figured out who Hjert reminds me of, by the way, and it's just a really young John Malkovich.
I
don't know if that makes... Just like, there's certain looks, there's certain angles of his face whenever I'm like, holy shit, he looks just like young John Malkovich.
Oh, wow. Okay. I've not watched many of his young stuff. I see it. I do see it a little bit. I'm not looking at him now. Huh. Wow. Yeah, he's not been in Star Wars. Why have I...
John Malkovich has not been in Star Wars.
I don't know why I felt like there was a weird connection. What am I trying to connect? I don't even know with him. But I don't know. But no, that at least I feel like K2SO, this is his hallway scene. Like I love in Star Wars the hallways. I thought we were about to get one with Cassian and Melshi whenever they were sneaking. I thought the troops were already going to be there waiting for him, and they were just going to go and barrel through, kill them all. But no, I feel like the actual hallway scene was given to K2SO here. Bro is holy like why did Palpatine? If you had an army of these. Who the fuck is stopping you? Like, this right. is the droids they had before. I don't know. Maybe it took up to this point to get these droids. I don't know. But if I was Palpatine, holy shit, just make as many of these fuckers as you can. They're like indestructible, and they just. I mean,
there's a slight inconsistency between Rogue One and Andor with the K2 or the KX units. Jin just shoots one in Rogue One.
That's true. Yeah. I feel like it was with a pistol doesn't get through their armor, but if you pick up like the rifles, that's
Imperial
what she
blasters.
Had. Yeah, she had an actual blaster.
Okay, yeah, maybe there's something there.
That's the only thing. But yeah, they do seem a lot more indestructible in Andor though. Like they were tanked up, and. I love it's like so easy for them to kill. Like I think this is Rogue One. It didn't happen in Andor, but he just the guy who's at like the computer station or whatever. He's like he just bonks him in the head. He just literally just donk and just that's it. Bro is crushed dead.
Speaking of bonks on the head, when Krennic just taps Deidre's head and holds his finger there,
like giving her like a drill or like just a fucking or like what's the just I have power over you.
It is. It's just I you are nothing to me. Like and it's like whenever he's like, what do you think could bring me to this putrid fucking basement? Say it.
Yeah,
Death Star. So Deidre's one of the few people who knows about the fucking Death Star, which is also wild.
Yeah. That's why I kind of thought that like Partagaz had to be gotten rid of at the end. Like all these people who were in on it, they eventually were just probably going to get rid of him.
That's true. If he knew about it and they were disbanding the ISB, there's a decent chance they were just going to kill him.
At the same time, the Death Star's, I don't know, once it's out and they blow up a planet, isn't that the whole point of making it known?
Yeah, it's an announcement.
So it's like, I feel like, is there actually a reason to get rid of these people? I mean, it could just be the Empire's way of just, well, you don't serve a purpose anymore, so it's easier to kill you. But it could just be they actually don't care. It's like, well, we have what we want. We have the Death Star. That's what we were after the whole time. So yeah, it is. Like the ending of Partagaz's end is really interesting. If he didn't kill himself, what does the Empire do with him there? Or like does he just get a new job or whatever? Or do they actually just take him out back and boof or put him in a prison?
I don't know.
Just like Deidre, I guess.
I don't know.
But
one of my favorite lines of these episodes, though, by the way, was in that interaction between Deidre and Luthen. Whenever she's like, "You disgust me." And he's like, there's a whole galaxy waiting to disgust you. I loved a perfect mic drop on Luthen's life. Just go out on that. Sick as fuck, man.
Yeah, I knew like early in the earlier episodes, I'm like, well, he's probably gonna have to die. We don't hear about him. Yeah. He's like his end is going. So we kind of knew his fate a little bit, but man, like I think the fact that it was unceremonious. Like the fact that he just went out in a hospital room and that was it. I think it works out much better than him actually, like, I was like, oh, why didn't he turn around, slice Deidre's throat, and then fucking kill himself, whatever. That would have been crazy, and I think I would have just liked it just to have Deidre die a little bit, but I think, no, story-wise, it works out a whole lot better to have Clea, like, have to actually go out and do it herself. It's something she doesn't want to do, but it has to happen. Sort of, I don't know. It's all just these.
It's beautiful, and I love the monologue he delivers to Clea whenever she hates just standing by. When do we start fighting back? Luthen says we have. She's like, by walking away, and he says we fight to win. That means we lose and lose and lose until we're ready. All you know now is how much you hate. You bank that. You hide that. You keep it alive until you know what to do with it. And when I tell you to move, you move. Move.
Man. And wherever they were when he was
Spain.
saying that to her, holy shit. I thought for a second, I'm like, is this the Great Wall of China? And then just like it looks like a big enough wall and castle or whatever. But then I'm like, the land, I'm like, this doesn't look like China. I don't know.
No, it was in Spain, if I believe.
But man, the locations this season, like I feel like that's,
oh dude, they were gorgeous.
They were incredible. Like the Gorman just being so French and like, so I don't know, like it's just the French Revolution happening there. I feel like it was perfect. And then like even the I didn't realize like the propaganda meeting. I don't know if we brought up, like there was actually a Nazi meeting that was like like the final stages of the Holocaust or something.
Oh yeah,
where they had a legit meeting like this, and they ate lunch, or like they ate food while doing it, and like they in the show, like they're eating snack, or like I it's just crazy that at the ultimate scale of like, no, this can only be a Star Wars thing that they're meeting to discuss the ending of a planet, but it's like, dang, it's like, no. And yeah, it's history repeating itself. It does feel very today and very poignant and very like, but it's like, no, it's the French Revolution. It's World War II. It's the stuff that's happened before. And God damn it, if we're just going, it rhymes, but in the worst way, it's kind of, it's like George likes to say his movies rhyme. I would prefer if history stopped rhyming a little bit.
Right.
And we broke free from that, but yeah, this is man, at least I think I found my new favorite just story in any like I'm always looking. If a movie has the revolutionary spirit, or there's something in a movie where there is a small rebellion fought or something, it instantly enhances it for me, and I always look for it. And this just happens to be only that. Like, it is only the rebellion story. So I feel like, there's no, or it makes sense why I'm liking it so much. It's like I'm looking for any little amount of it in any movie that I can, even whenever it's not the main part of the movie. But if it's there, I'm like, ooh, I love that shit. No, yeah, this is at least it's the best rebellion story in all of Star Wars. I wish we could have, you're right, gotten the season of Rogue One instead of the movie. That would have been incredible.
Which is rare for me to say, by the way. Most of the time, I wish seasons of television had been movies. Now this has me wishing that movie was a season of television, which is wild, especially when they're done this well. If it could have been Tony Gilroy at the helm, just 12 episodes banging it out, it would have been an entire arc on Jedha. It would have been 3 episodes on Jedha that ends with the destruction of Jedha. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Is it possible we get Erso, next? Like, is it? I wonder if in Andor, Erso, like, why are they just like the, I don't know, the whatever words, I don't know, the in between words, and so like it's just really weird. Like all the name, like Luthen and Clea, Luke and Leia, and just all these weird things that I'm noticing for the first time about names and shit, but no,
I don't. There's a couple books about Jin. Jin growing up. Rebel Rising is really, really good. Catalyst is really good. And those dive into Galen and Jin quite a bit. Jin and Saw specifically with Rebel Rising. But I would love to see it adapted on screen. I would love to see Saw back in a more regular capacity, because he would have to be in a Jin series.
Yeah. That's I'm not gonna hope, or I'm gonna hope for it. I guess I will, but I'm not gonna bank on it. I'm not going.
Oh
to,
no, I
to
certainly
need it to
won't
come out.
either.
At least it feels that they wrote it in a way where it's complete, it's final. I don't need any more. But man, they could take up any character. Like, I don't know, like Clea could have her own show completely, or they could do that. I feel like that's probably more book realm there for Luthen, given all that backstory.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that even within the original trilogy we have not explored a ton of. Like the rebel spy work that brings them the knowledge of the second Death Star, and I'm sure there's multiple things that we could figure out some story. It's a giant galaxy,
True. Guess they did it for Cassian.
I like to think that Clea worked pretty closely with Leia. They feel like they would have been a match made in heaven a little bit.
Yeah, Leia. I mean, come on. I feel like Clea is kind of what Leia would be if she wasn't a important figure like on Alderaan. Like,
if she wasn't a princess.
If Leia was out on her own. Clea. Leia, King Leia. It is, and that's why she's a princess. Yes, the king or queen Clea coming first. It's just kind of the lineage. Not saying that Clea is better or a higher up than Leia. I don't know of how to rank them or put one above the other. I think that's unfair. But I think more of just like a walking before Leia could fly. As Clea paved the path for Leia to do her thing. And yeah, another digital kind of thing I wish didn't have to happen at the end there. It's the only parts of Rogue One that is just whatever. But I don't know, I'll live with. I got to learn to accept it. And that's just Leia, and that's just Tarkin. That's just the whole point. It's just technology was where it was at the time. I don't know, and they decided to fuck with it. But yeah, this I don't know, a part of the story that we already knew, but just getting expanded. And I feel like, yeah, it's the crux of the entire Star Wars story right here. And so, like, yeah, it makes perfect sense that it's gold. And that's why I hope that some other characters picked up and Tony Gilroy gets a blank check to do whatever the fuck he wants.
I anticipate he'll be back to do Star Wars eventually. I think he's going to take a nice little break there, because I'm assuming, like you said, he's gonna get a blank check wherever he wants to write a movie.
That's true. Doesn't have to stay in Star Wars. No, yeah, be limited by Disney, I guess. But
yeah, well, that was what was cool too, is that he was like he's been a huge proponent of the melding of Star Wars and these like. Not pitting it against each other all the time, he thinks it's beautiful that Skeleton Crew exists in the same world that Andor does, and that the Acolyte exists in the same place Obi-Wan Kenobi does, and all this sorts of stuff. Like, he's been very, very vocal about that. And the most recent thing he said was that, like, he's eternally grateful to Kathleen Kennedy. I think the quote he said was, quote, she just kept saying yes.
Huh. Okay.
Which is cool, like there's kind of that's why when it comes to Star Wars, a lot less than the MCU do I feel executive oversight. You know what I'm saying? I do think that creators generally in Star Wars get a chance to make the thing they want to make. It just happens that with like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau now, they happen to be pretty high up in Lucasfilm. It's not like it's like like they just happen to be both. It's not like they are making what they want to make. It's not like they're like Deborah Chow kind of got to make what she wanted to make with Obi-Wan Kenobi. The John Watts got to make what he wanted with Skeleton Crew. It's clear that what's her name? Leslie created the Acolyte.
Oh, Leslie. Yeah, you're right on Leslie.
Headland.
Leslie Acolyte creator, Leslie Headland? Yeah,
Headland, yes, okay.
Yeah.
It's clear, it's abundantly clear Leslie Headland got to make what she wanted to make. That's why, like, I don't think I've never felt that the corporate interference with Star Wars has been as big a problem as it has with other properties. I when it comes to the corporate interference in Star Wars, I think it's literally what gets made. It's less to do with what happens when those things get made, but what they greenlight to get made at all. And that's why, like, I whenever people are like, fucking Kathleen Kennedy, you're a fucking idiot. Full stop. This is one of the greatest producers that movies has ever seen. She's been there since she's been at Lucasfilm forever. She produced Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Damn.
Come on now.
And look what we're getting. I don't know. Look at the state. Like, I will say, before Star Wars seemed a little shaky, but now I'm like, I'm sound. I'm like,
well, that's
with
the thing is that,
Crew,
like, what felt quote unquote shaky was just this couple of seasons back to back that also occurred at the same time as the MCU having a rough go of it.
all being owned by Disney. It just
all
felt
being
like
owned by Disney. And that's kind of what we're. And don't get me wrong, Lucasfilm is far from a perfect company. I'm not trying to say that they've got it all figured out. They did cancel The Acolyte. That's stupid. That's 100% dumb. And that choice was made for the wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Damn. Yeah, no plagues, no fucking more Chimera. I'm pissed. Like, fuck.
Come on. We got a lot to explore there. Why the fuck are we not? But regardless, I do think that generally, Star Wars is in a much more consistent place as far as quality is concerned than it felt like around Mando Season 3 Ahsoka era.
Yeah. It was a test of faith, I feel like, a little bit of those seasons of am I still a Star Wars? Yes, I've never not been a Star Wars fan, but it was just it was hard to get into it the way I used to before. But no,
what it made me worry was I experiencing fatigue. Was I like, and I do genuinely believe that is a problem with Star Wars. I do think, and this sounds like a spoil of riches, I do think there's too much of it.
Yeah.
I do think there should be less. I do think there should be less. The scarcity is what makes it valuable. It's part of what makes it valuable, and I think that this really got a chance to shine, I think, because Skeleton Crew was so different. It was so massively different. It might have only been a few months ago, but it was an entirely different kind of show. And I think that that's, if we're going to keep doing this, if we're going to keep doing we're doing multiple seasons of television every year, make them massively different. Don't give me Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and, the Book of Boba Fett. And I know the Book of Boba Fett came well before Mando Season 3 and stuff, but like that tone, that type of show, don't give me all of those at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, jump from, it was nice to have Skeleton. I don't know, that change of pace, or just kind of like, we are just kind of detached, or it felt just very singular.
Well, and not to mention that the thing that came before Skeleton Crew was The Acolyte.
Even more.
Which was massively different from that. So like, that's what made it, like, these last 3 seasons of Star Wars TV reignited my faith in Star Wars TV, and it's because they don't belong together. They don't belong one after the other, but the fact that they did make them one after the other makes it work. And I think that that's why I've never really lost faith in Lucasfilm. I do think that they ultimately, because the MCU is doing the same thing right now. They feel like they're riding the ship a little bit. It's like, okay, maybe we were doing too much. Let's do maybe a movie a year, maybe 2 seasons of television a year, call it good. That's how we'll do it from now on. And I think that Star Wars is kind of approaching the same thing. We do have a little bit too much on the horizon for me to have faith that that's going to maintain.
Mando and Grogu, fucking
the
Ahsoka
Rey New
Season
Jedi
2.
Order, Ahsoka Season 2, the Rey New Jedi Order movie, the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie, apparently the 2027 one with Ryan Gosling, directed by Sean Levy.
Ryan Gosling. I don't know. I still can't believe that a little bit. It just feels so weird.
It does feel weird. It does feel weird, and that's why. But that's the thing, though, is that if we are like, Star Wars has always been so baked into the identity of Star Wars has been so baked into everything Star Wars does. You know, that it almost did limit what creatives were capable of doing with it. And with the Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, Andor, one after the other, it shows that you can maintain that identity while doing something completely different. And I don't think that's what, you know, I love The Mandalorian. I do. But it is quintessentially, it's as Star Wars gets as far as the identity of Star Wars. And same with Ahsoka, and same in most ways with the Book of Boba Fett. You know, like it's that era of Star Wars storytelling is almost getting bogged down by its sense of identity and its sense of continuity. I like the idea of it being massively different. Because Skeleton Crew's set in the same era.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel the same. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a big plus for it. And I think that's kind of, I'm hoping that's what they're realizing with the success of these shows back to back to back. And not success strictly. I think that when it comes to streaming numbers, I think it's impossible to perceive success. But I don't know.
Will come. That's for sure.
The Emmys will come. Yeah.
They'll realize this one, the success of it, if the streaming numbers reflect it or not. But yeah, hopefully they get their flowers around that time. If not, I mean, it's crazy how everyone, like even like Willem, I don't know, he doesn't deserve an Emmy, I don't think, but man,
Willem is fucking incredible as a character, man. I want to explore, like, I love the subtle character building they do with him too. He has a limp in this last arc.
Yeah.
Now,
Rhydonium, is he huffing a little too much?
Maybe he did huff a little too much.
Yeah, because Saw, he eventually loses his legs. Like, bro he has mechanical feet at the beginning of Rogue One. And I don't think we saw that.
I think it's what's in his fucking oxygen mask in Rogue One.
Is Rhydonium?
Yeah,
Is that he's
I don't think it's oxygen. I think he's just straight fucking
huffing.
Because like, there's a moment whenever he huffs in front of Bodhi, and is like, "Did they send you?" You know, like
so he's huffing his copium gas a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I guess I thought he was so fucked up at this point that this is like keeping him alive. This is like oxygen to actually keep him alive. Because I think, I don't know. I guess whenever we saw him huffing in the Rhydonium, it was actually like a smoky gas that we saw like come out. I feel like it would have been cool if, like, in that mask, if they showed that blue or like kind of
that like sparkly, colorful shit.
But
going
it's
on.
like it's clear that it like deteriorated him fast, or like it was quick.
He's and along with the fight, you know, both things are chipping away at him for sure. But
Willem, I wonder why he's limping. That's
just a cool little detail that like he's been active for the last year. They've been doing stuff. He's been on missions. He's, you know, like, and
always got
one of those ones
too. I don't know.
Came back with a limp. And I like that this one stuck. This is the chick from Gorman. That's sick. I like that.
At least it's not someone new at the base. You know, it's like
and it's also the chick he did go back for. He went back for her on Gorman. Now we're a year later. She's still there with him. Like, that's cool. I can't give that kid enough credit. Like, he was great in season 1 in the limited capacity. I can't believe they made him one of the main supporting characters, and the fact that they did, and he was so damn good at it, was so great.
Willem, Cyril, a guy I fucking hate. I don't give a shit about Cyril. Like, I mean, I don't know. His story's okay in season 1, but it's like Narc. We hated the guts out of that guy. His story,
unquestionably one of the worst people in Star Wars in season 1, and come season 2, you're like, okay, maybe he's just disillusioned a little bit. Like, you know, like, he's still a bad guy. He's still not a good guy by any stretch of the imagination. But you're like, oh, he just really, really wants to be important. You know, like, it's costing him morality. You know,
like I'm trying to think of any other smaller characters that I feel like I forget.
Edie, his mom.
Yeah. Oh man, like, yeah, her reaction to all the news, her like all like just. Just the stuff that she says to him, like when he gifted her the spider, and she's just like you know, quiet or never.
I think I'll name it Cyril.
Yeah, the fucking eerie. silent. No, I don't know her voice. Like she's incredible.
Brooding.
Yeah, it's just
I love Catherine Hunter. That actress is just so good, man.
I need her in something else so that I don't envision her as just this piece of shit mom, or I don't know.
You've watched Poor Things?
Okay.
She's the madam at the brothel.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's okay. That's a lot cooler. To keep. I don't know. Wait, doesn't she?
Yeah. No.
Is she? I know I'm trying to remember Poor Things. It's been a while since I've seen it. Did she turn on the girls at some point, or like she was actually doing some shit to them, or was she actually chill with them the whole time?
Well, she was as chill as a brothel mistress can be. You know, like whenever Emma Stone's like, let's change the game. We should be able to pick who. Like, wouldn't they rather sleep with someone who picks them? And she's like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Get in the fucking bedroom. She was also in Megalopolis. She was Giancarlo Esposito's
mom.
Mom.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's right. That age that's interesting. Are they like around the same age in real life, or is she actually like older than him?
Catherine Hunter was born in 1957. Giancarlo Esposito was born in 1958. Maybe they were spouses.
Yeah, maybe. That might feel a little better. Actually, yeah.
Were they?
Well, yeah. What was she?
I just don't remember. I don't remember her in Megalopolis a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. That movie.
I don't remember that movie a lot, to be fair. It's just kind of a fucking fever dream.
I know I watched it, I guess, I did.
But yeah, even as I was saying that she was Giancarlo Esposito's mom, I was like, well, that can't be right.
Yeah. And she is in Teresa Cicero? Is that?
Cicero, yeah.
Cicero? I don't know last names enough in that movie to even tell you who that is.
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito was Mayor Cicero.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe they're what? Yeah.
Yeah, they're husband and wife.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess but probably best to remember her in Poor Things is like the best. I don't want to remember her as this. I don't know this
as Edie.
Like, I don't know. So yeah, I was just trying to think of the best.
I was trying to think. I was like, there's been a couple things recently that she got booked and busy with, and those were it. Apparently, she was in one of the Harry Potter movies. She was in the Order of the Phoenix. She was Mrs. Arabella Figg. I don't know if that means anything to you.
Don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
Quite. Let's see. Yeah, but no, I'll remember. Maybe I'll just remember her as the human she is.
Catherine Hunter.
Apparently, she was in Tron Uprising, the TV series. I haven't watched that.
I haven't watched that either.
She's Gorn. Whoever Gorn. Wow.
That's a cool connection.
That's kind of crazy.
What are the odds?
What the fuck? Okay. But yeah, I guess maybe I'll check out the animated Tron series now.
But no, it was such this season of television was a great pleasure. It was a crazy fast 4 weeks, but also I feel like watching the first episode of this show was so fucking long ago. It's insane.
That's true. Fast but slow. I don't know how they do it, but man,
I don't know either. It's only been a month. I don't know how it's been a month. It feels longer. It feels shorter. I don't know how it feels. But it feels like I've lived a lifetime. I've lived 5 years. Since Andor season 2 episode 1, but
basically just fucking blipped. I don't know. And now I'm
exactly. Now I'm here, and now I have nothing to look forward to. No,
the hope is over.
Now I'm empty. No, but it was like the second time I watched the finale, because I watched the whole arc on Tuesday night, and then I just rewatched the finale last night. It fucked me up a lot worse. And I think it's just because I was like, last night I was like, oh shit, I'm never getting another episode of this show again. And this is the best. This is the best. Like genuinely one of my favorite television shows of all time. I can't. We will never get its like again. If we do, beautiful. I will lose my shit if we get another Andor level quality product out of Star Wars. But we're talking about something that, especially after 2 seasons, is top 2 with The Empire Strikes Back, if not the best thing Star Wars has ever done.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about the run, or like the canonical run.
The canonical in-universe run of chronological viewing. If you go from Rebels to Andor to Rogue One to A New Hope to Empire to Return of the Jedi, what more do you really want, man? Like that's
damn.
That's goat shit.
It would be nice if we could start somehow with Bad Batch, but like honestly, I had the thought of like if I had to tell someone to watch Star Wars for the first time, is the start actually Andor now? Like is that the I think you start with the best it's ever been. You watch Rogue One, you watch A New Hope, you watch Empire. I feel like you go down that path. Once you get to Return of the Jedi, I feel like then it's up to you. Do you want to go to the prequels,
and it
or
also
do you
depends.
want to go to the sequels?
It also depends on the viewer, that you're talking to. You know, if you're dealing with somebody who can, in a vacuum, appreciate quote unquote old movies, they should start with A New Hope.
That's true.
You know, but like if I'm introducing, say, my little brother to Star Wars, which I'm not. But if I'm introducing my little brother to Star Wars, he's we saw Rise of Skywalker in theater together, all that, so he's fine. He's there. Don't get me wrong. But if he wasn't, I would show him Andor first. I'd be like, watch this. This is sick. You love TV shows, Here's
one of the best ones.
Here's one of the best ones. And then also there's a movie about that guy after this too. And then that goes right into, so like it is, I think it's an easy foot in the door thing. It's the first Star Wars thing my dad's ever watched. Like genuinely, wanted and cared about watching.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it does feel kind of sacrilegious a little bit to actually not recommend A New Hope as the start. Just start with the first, but I feel like this is you watch Andor, you understand like it. I feel like it also gives A New Hope the
100%.
stakes, like it enhances the stakes of A New Hope even more, and like it makes like it. I always just give credit to Luke, but now I'm giving credit to everyone else who got him there. It's like Luke is just the one final shot, the one final the buzzer beater, that sent it all off, but it's truly everyone else that's around him that like now that I will be thinking of, and it's because of Andor. So I feel like that's why it's better to kind of start with Andor, so you have that in your mind even before you go into A New Hope or Rogue One and all that. So yeah, I wish I could I've said this, if I could have a superpower, it would be to wipe some memory, selective memory wipe, so I could just be like, forget Interstellar, watch it again for the first time, and then I could somehow pull those memories back of my love for it the whole time. I don't. It's a weird power, but I would love to do it with Star Wars.
That'd be cool. It'd be sick.
And then I'd start right here. I don't know. It'd be incredible to start at Andor and then just keep it running.
Well, and that's also the thing though, is that like, knowing what happens in Rogue One does make this show better.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
true.
Understanding the fate that Cassian is barreling towards is part of what makes it good. That's what makes a prequel great.
Wait, if you don't know, then you don't know that Cassian lives through it all. Like, imagine not knowing, you know nothing about Star Wars at all, and you're watching Andor. Like,
and you don't know, Cassian could die.
Yeah, he at any given moment the stakes are just as high for him. You have no clue he makes it out, and then you see Darth Vader. Like, I guess that's Rogue One. You'll get to Rogue One. Like, that's the first time you'll see Darth Vader is fucking Rogue One, just for the hallway scene, and then you just don't
on Mustafar.
That's true with Krennic. That's fair. Yeah, that does happen first. Dang. But yeah, I don't know. To actually have zero knowledge of Star Wars at all. And then, yeah, I feel like, I don't know, it would be, because I can't put myself really in those, like, I don't know how it would play.
I can't fathom
but like,
that.
Man, how, that would be crazy to.
But yeah, that's the thing. That's what's complicated, is I think it'd be super cool to watch this show not knowing Cassian's fate, but I do actually think it makes it better knowing.
Yeah.
I do. So that's where it's complicated. It's like, I don't know where to start.
You gotta watch it all, and then somehow start
Rogue One
would
be like, watching Rogue One for the first time on the other side of Andor would be fucking soul crushing. It's already soul crushing, but the idea that you have grown attached to Cassian like this, and then he dies at the end of there, I can't imagine not knowing that, and then watching, like that's crazy. That would be a certain type of feeling. So maybe it would make maybe we are servicing Rogue One that way, not Andor, which Andor can kind of stand on its own. Maybe Rogue One's what we do need to service a little bit, but whatever.
Yeah, it kind of does feel like that was the point of Andor a little bit. Is like, hey, this movie's actually so good, and you got it didn't get the credit it really deserved. We're gonna make a show about it that undeniably forces you into watching it again and thinking about it in a different way.
I mean, when I watched the finale last night for the second time, I was like, fuck.
Now
I might have to turn on Rogue One. Like the way that it plays directly into it, it just makes it a 2 hour and 48-minute movie instead of a 2 hour and 10-minute movie. You know what I'm saying? Like they just work so perfectly one into the next. But yeah, nah, man, I loved Andor. I loved Andor season 2. And do you feel more affirmed in your statement that it's better than season 1?
I think I'm actually there. I'm in this weird balancing act of like, if I'm going to rewatch the show, it's the arcs of season 1 that appeal to me more, but the overall season as a whole, yes, I feel like the production was better, the writing was better, everyone was acting their ass. Every little character had so much going for them, and not to say they didn't do all of that in season 1. I think that they just built upon it even more. The cards they were dealt, it was supposed to be so much longer, and all of that shoved into one season. I think they did the absolute best that they could, and yeah, I think they were just kind of firing on all cylinders. So I mean, like overall a better season, but kind of like how I sometimes like Revenge of the Sith over every other Star Wars movie on a given day. It's like, I know it's not better, but it's just like, come on, I can't deny it. I can't deny that.
No, I get that. I get that. And I think time will do me well. But
recency bias from me as well. I mean, I am very
well, and that's my thing too, is that like I can't bring myself to think season 2 is better than season 1. Like I think what season 1 did was so much smaller. And I think that kind of lent itself to an intimacy that bolsters it a little bit. Season 2 does a really good job of dealing with the intimate moments on such a grand scale, so that deserves its credit too. That's why I'm like, I have no idea. I guess what I'm saying is I have no idea which I prefer.
Yeah.
And you're talking about if I'm rewatching, I'm watching season 1 and 2. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like I'm watching the whole thing. And that's what's beautiful, is that Andor is my favorite. Andor is my favorite.
Kind of like Thrones, I feel like a little bit. With season 1, it is great and awesome, but the time they're getting to season 3, 4, they're just kind of cooking on a different level.
It's true.
And I feel like it's a little bit the same there. But yeah, and I mean, yeah, undoubtedly the best show to come. I mean, the best Star Wars there is, and yeah, the best show of the year so far. I guess I haven't watched all of Last of Us, or I'm not up to date. I've only watched the first 2 episodes. The second one just fucked me up too much. I guess I couldn't
I'm
go
like,
back.
I don't know.
Apparently
they're doing flashback episodes. Pedro Pascal is in one of them.
That's nice
at least,
hear,
So I'm like,
okay.
Yeah, there's something there. But sorry if you're not watching Last of Us. My bad.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, I haven't really watched much TV this year. I'm watching Doctor Who right now. It's still on TV. And as much as I do love it, just doesn't hold a fucking candle to this. But Verada Sethu is in it. Senta, she's the companion for the Doctor this year. So she's in every episode of Doctor Who.
Maybe that's why they had to get rid of her. That's why she had to die.
We can tell ourselves that.
Yeah, she was busy elsewhere. So.
We can tell ourselves that. I love it. I love it, man. I think that Andor was as good as it gets, and I can't wait for the next Star Wars project is Visions in October. So 5 months down the road, we've got 3. We got season 3 or collection 3 of Visions. So maybe we revisit some visions ahead of that, going into, maybe we talk about that, because come that time, not going to lie to you folks, it's the last episode of Fulcrum. We're not going anywhere. We're just rebranding. We haven't exactly nailed down what the rebrand is, but next episode it won't be Fulcrum anymore. That's what I'll say. We got some ideas floating around. We're excited about it, but we're going to expand it beyond just Star Wars. Star Wars podcasts, it's such a massive market, and it's not like, nerd shit podcasts is any smaller of a market, but you appeal to a much larger niche. It's we get a chance to talk about a lot more. I don't have the energy or the interest to maintain a Star Wars podcast weekly or even bi-weekly. But when you open it up, you include comic book stuff, Marvel, DC, Game of Thrones, fantasy novels, fantasy television shows. Like I said, Doctor Who's going on. I might get a segment in where I talk about Doctor Who coming to it when it comes to an end this season. Like there's just a lot.
It's kind of poetic.
There's a lot more out there. Yeah, there's a lot more out there. And Andor being the end of our Star Wars exclusive coverage feels about as good as it gets. Now, that does not mean we're done covering Star Wars. In fact, I would wager that most stuff we do will still be Star Wars. It's just we don't want to limit ourselves. Star Wars is where our love lies. So I don't want to say that it's officially no longer. No, you want Star Wars stuff, we're covering Star Wars stuff. But when Superman Legacy comes out this summer, we'll cover it here. When Fantastic Four: The First Steps comes out this summer, we'll cover it here. And maybe we do a little anticipatory reading. Maybe we get All-Star Superman in and some other Superman books and some Fantastic Four books under our belt, and we talk about them. I think it's a good opportunity. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to expand our horizons a little bit. We're going to have a little fun again. We've kind of, we haven't become dogmatic, but we've become formulaic a bit in our coverage of things. So we want to break that formula a little bit, have a little fun, branch out a little bit, and we think that this is going to be the place to do it.
How Andor of us, to Fulcrum, it was a rebellion frequency to send out secret messages. It's no longer needed. The rebellion's out. The cat's out of the bag. We don't need it anymore.
Yeah, there we are.
Okay.
There we are.
And we have friends everywhere, not just
we
Star
have
Wars.
Friends everywhere.
We have friends in the DC and Marvel and all the other universes that we can't talk about.
I like it.
So it's kind of it works out. A perfect way to end with Andor here.
Maybe we have friends everywhere isn't a bad idea for the for the rebrand. Just saying, might not be a bad idea, but we'll revisit that. We'll discuss that at another time. But I think with that we will sign off on Andor and we will sign off on Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast. Short-lived, less than a year. Started with the Acolyte. But we're going to rebrand. It's time. All that'll still exist. Our Acolyte coverage. The first 2 seasons of the Rebels rewatch, Skeleton Crew, and Andor Season 2. Covered, fucking five seasons of television as Fulcrum, which is kind of crazy in less than a year. So,
wow.
There's that. So stick with us. Go ahead and subscribe wherever you're listening. That is the way you will be aware of our rebrand. You can also follow me on Blue Sky, and I'm also going to go ahead and make a Blue Sky for whatever our rebrand is. So maybe I go ahead and get that built out. I'll announce it on Blue Sky. I'll announce it on our other podcasts as well. The Cinementalists is very, very nearly the end of our Mission Impossible project. We've got just Fallout coming out tomorrow, and then Dead Reckoning coming out tomorrow.
Yes.
And then the final Reckoning next Friday. I'm so very excited for that.
Holy shit.
And I'd be willing to bet that come next Friday, we will officially have that rebrand in place. We will be ready. So be listening to that. We will let you know officially what we're going to be doing. So the Cinementalists, Cinementalists, that is our movie podcast. Mission Impossible right now. We've got Pride Month coming up in June. We'll be covering a bunch of queer movies. I'm very, very excited for that. Stick with us over there. If you've never watched Twin Peaks, or if you have, we've got the show for you. Fire Pod with me, a Twin Peaks podcast. Friendly to the first-time viewer and rewatcher alike. I'm the rewatcher. Joe's the first-time watcher. And we're having a great time speculating about the future of that of that story, as Joe does not know it, but I do. It's a lot of fun kind of listening to him go on wild theories and stuff. Kind of feeding them, taking away from them. It's a lot of fun playing with them over there. So, but regardless, you should be watching Twin Peaks, another one of my 5 favorite shows of all time, along with Andor. So be sure to check that out. And yeah, just stick with us. Like I said, subscribe wherever you are listening. Follow me on Blue Sky, Colton Robertson. It's my handle. That's it. And we'll try our best to keep you updated, but be ready for a rebrand coming soon. But yeah, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here, homie.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, I have friends everywhere.